And as I read this book, I was like, I've never thought about a circle this way. And then I did think about the circle this way, and I was troubled. I don't know quite why, but it just bothers me.
Why does it bother you?
It seems funny and odd that this is the same area as this. The math checks out, but there's something about that math that just troubles me. And those are roughly to scale. If anything, this is a little too small. Anyway, that's where my mind went. In the books I read this week.
Why does that trouble you? They look about the same size.
That's what I tried to tell him.
I don't know.
They do.
Right. If you just wrap that one up.
So, but think about it this way too. So this is the way you've done this problem every time. You haven't thought about it as a square. But every time you've done this math problem, you did it with that formula, the exact same formula as you would use for this. So I'm calling this 12 inches here, R obviously, because it's the radius of the circle. So the formula for this would be area equals R times pi, which in essence is area equals pi r squared.
Okay, wait a second.
12.
Okay, so the radius of the circle is 12. Is 12 inches also the
That's the side, that's the length of this right here.
why don't you just go length from width?
I did. Area equals
And
base times
why
height.
R times R times pi?
It's called theoretical mathematics. And I'm just interested. So you're welcome.
I'm ready for school to be out.
Are you?
We have a program on Friday.
I'm going to program on Friday
No,
instead. That's a day
Wednesday.
later. And I'm not going to be here. Wednesday instead.
Yes.
Where are you?
I would want it Wednesday.
Well, she doesn't want Thursday either. But, or maybe she just doesn't want her braces.
Yeah, you did.
We can do it tomorrow, that'd be better.
Wait, we actually have to not doing it Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be leaving. Where?
When? Which day?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? I mean, basically, if worse comes to worse, I sure want to try to squeeze in the program later, so that's that.
Today would suit me just fine.
I know.
Me too.
It would.
Wait, can you do like a bonus questions? Long time like just on the she had to click on the whole thing now. And it's not done yet.
Oh, right.
Why is it not even?
More theoretical mathematics.
Morning. Oh.
Yeah, we hope it works out.
Is that
Three different
covers and what's covers? Yeah, I like it.
Are you sure we're on lesson 12 or not?
No?
I think that's open too.
We're lesson 2.
I don't know why I have 7. What I do? Yes. My official badge should probably be on.
This is a long one.
Yes,
I'm not
everybody
sure.
get one.
Not sure if I want to learn about you. I don't want to use geometry. I don't want to use geometry.
Too bad. You're going to have to. Don't you hate it when that happens? Teachers are so forcing these days. All right. Linear equations on a coordinate plane. We talked about this in last week. If you remember 8th grade. This line is referred to as the which axis? The horizontal one is the x-axis, right? And you always, that one always comes first or second in the order of pair.
Second.
Always comes first. All right, then we have y, because that's not the order, x, y, right? So then we have the y-axis, is the vertical one. Good. So if, well, let me see. Let's go ahead and do this quickly. I'll need everybody's attention on this even if you don't wish to be here. That's too bad. All right, we're going to go negative x plus 4 equals y. And we're going to solve it for x equals, oopsie, pardon me, third and another thing. We're going to solve it for 0, 3, and negative 3. All right. How would I solve this? Let me think. Chris. First things first. So here's the important thing to remember, is negative x also stands for negative 1x, correct? That's the first thing. Do the same thing. All right, now, moving on from here. Solve it for me for 0. X equals 0.
Negative 1 times 0 plus 4 equals 1.
All right, and that solved looks like 4 equals y. That's correct. So that's our first pair, 0 and 4. Our next pair, Richard, solving for 3.
Negative 1 plus 3
1 times 3.
plus 4 equals y.
Okay.
And then negative 3 plus 4 equals y.
And that is
1 equals y.
1 equals y. So our next pair is
3 and
3 and 1. All right. Final problem, Cody. Negative 3.
Negative 1 times 3 plus 4 equals y. 3 plus 4 y equals 7 equals y.
Yes. So our pair is.
Negative 3, 7.
All right. So let's solve it for, and let's plot 0, 4. So let's go with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, whoops. And then y ran for the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Perfect. Leah, you come up here and plot for us. 1, 0, 4. Good. And Cody, 3, 1.
Hey, what?
Thank you.
That's not right.
Wow.
That's not right. It's supposed to be on the
Well, we'll solve it here in a second. Three and 1. That's correct. And Richard, you want to do the next one? Maybe 3, 7. Up there, where
Somewhere
the
there,
red is.
right there. I don't know.
All right. So now we have our 0, 4 we've got to figure out.
It's 0 on the x.
0 on the x, which means. Can you come over here and fix it?
No, not really.
Give it a whirl. Okay, when that happens.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. 0 on the x and 4 on the y. Yes, you got it a little backwards, but that's all right. We fixed it in the end. Good. That's right. You always have to do your x first. And then just draw a line over it. We're not going to do. All right. Oh, 5. Let's go ahead and I think. I feel like we did 1 through 3 in class, the whole thing. So we're going to do number 4. $9.99.
Ah, shit. 32. I crossed that out.
Yep. And 5 is 16 over n equals 4. 6, n minus 7 equals 6, my bad. 7 is n plus 2 equals 8. And 8 is n squared minus 9 equals 16. Yes, n squared minus 9 equals 16. Number 9 is hypotenuse. Number 10, volume equals capital V, H. 11, variable and exponent. 12, range. 13 is 32, and V is 128.
Hey, for 11, I have one of them on.
I was kind of just at the point yet. 32 and 128. 14, 37.5%. B, 33 and 1/3%. C, 12, and D, 16. 15, your answer is 15.75 square yards. Your formula is A equals 1/2 A1 plus B2 times 16, 0.2 cubic yards. B, 1.8 cubic yards. Your formulas for pi r squared times your inches, about 12 or whatever.
Except
Make
V
sure-
equals capital VH.
Yeah, that's essentially it, as long as you, that's all you have. You didn't write anything else down?
Because, no, I have a whole.
Okay.
Right.
Did you go inches, you want inches divided by, so you just want 1/6? Yeah, that works as well.
And, okay, for A, I want square yards, but with B, I have cubic yards.
Okay. B was just 0.2 times 9 equals 1.8. All right, 17, 3,696 pounds. 3,696
I
pounds.
have 36 or 3,600.
Yeah, you must have done your math a little bit wrong. So that would be incorrect. 18A, 44 and 1/3. B is 2.08. C, 10 3/4.
I have 9 over 12.
9 over 12 for C.
10 and 9 over 12.
And that one would still be wrong, unfortunately. Oh, you have 10 and 9 over 12.
Yeah.
We'll take half off from that. 19A, negative 6B plus C. B is negative x cubed plus 2x squared. And C is 9x minus 4y minus 3.
B was.
Negative x cubed plus 2x squared.
Okay, so I have the negative 4y, I don't have that in there. Like, I erased it like I was erasing something else and I erased it by accident.
Let me look.
It's right there.
Okay, you have that one. All right, 20A. 2 cubed, that's 11. B is 2 to the 4th times 5. C is 2 to the 4th times 5 times 11. So an LCM of 80. 800. 21A. You should wind up with 3A squared over B squared. And B, you should have 1 over 10x. 22. The mean is 4, the median is 5, the mode is 5. 23. The answer is B equals 19.2, and that is rounded, obviously. B 28.3 equals C.
I tried my calculator and I got 28.9.
Did you have the square root of 800? How did we come up with that number?
I don't know. I'm sure if I did on the calculator.
Okay, well, maybe you have, I'm not sure how you would come out with the different root. that's fairly straightforward. And 28.28, so you must have gone, must
Yeah,
have used the next numbers.
I think I rounded it wrong.
Well,
Mr. Hannah, are those guys in the cave now or not?
could be. Take half off, I guess, for moving into 24, 10 to the negative 2, is 10 to the 5th, and 1, and C is 1, 10 to the 0, 10 to 0. Let's see. 25 is 0.326, B is 0.074, C is 3,200. 26, your ordered pairs should be 0 and negative 3, 2 and negative 7, negative 2 and 1. 27, your pairs are 0 and 1, 2 and negative 3, negative 2 and 5. And I think I saw everybody's graph. Yes. Oh, that was which seems mostly correct. Right. 75 points. Look at that. Oh, first try. 1 wrong is 99, 2 wrong is 97, 3 wrong is 96. 4 wrong is 95. 6 wrong is 92, 7 wrong is 91. We'll keep going. Everybody happy? Good.
Not happy.
Not happy? Well, seems like you don't have to be forced to be happy, but you do have to be forced to follow along. Might as well be happy with your head. Alright, so we've worked with scientific notation before. This is actually fairly simple. So when we want to start to work with really super big scientific numbers, which happens on occasion, like when you want to count molecules, you have to start, you can't just write them out, right? Because it's like writing out a Google. That would be silly. Writing out,
I did write out Google.
I know, I did as well. But it's silly, you're not going to use that in
How
everyday
many
life.
zeros does it have?
100. So, the way you would write out one Google is you would just go 1, and then you go like that. And that just basically shows that there's 100 decimal places behind it. Same as it, so you can write out 1,000 like this. You just take your decimal point, go 1, 2, 3, you write it out 1 times,
Wouldn't it be 10 times?
10 times, well, I suppose you write it out either way.
And the third power.
10 to the 3rd. Yeah, well, you can write it out. Okay, fine, we'll write it out 10 to the 3rd, because that's how we've been doing it. Oh, no, that makes sense, yes, absolutely, 100%, you're right. I messed up a little bit, I was thinking negatives. All right, so the thing is, you can write large numbers, like in astronomy and in astrophysics and all the things. Sometimes you need to use these big numbers, and it's important to know what they actually mean, because sometimes you can start throwing big numbers around. If you don't know what they mean, you can't tell them they're full of hot air.
Mr. Penn,
Yes,
when people say Googleplex, do they actually just mean Google squared?
maybe. I'm not sure. So it'd be a Google times Google, which it would wind up the same thing, I guess.
So if you say Google cubed, it's bigger than Googleplex. You cube whatever, the third power.
The third power. Google to the third power is So very often what we'll wind up with, especially in, well, in biology, I mean, chemistry uses this as well. I need a better marker. If you want to count some atoms, because that's important, you'll start out with a number that looks like this. Or whatever. So we want to, I mean, that's kind of a useful number, but in the end it really isn't because there's too many zeros to keep track of, and it's just not very much fun to work with, right? So what we'll do is we will move the decimal point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we'll write this number like this, 3.052 to the negative, what does I say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, to the negative 7. Oh, times 10 to the negative 7, yes. What, I'm not doing my homework today. Times 10 to the negative 7. All right?
Just for Kent.
Yes.
Oh. So they always tell us to use a dot. Why
Mhm.
don't they just teach you to use a dot in verse 3?
I don't know, maybe it's easier to confuse the decimal points. Not possible. All right, so this is a negative. This is a negative exponent, obviously, because you're writing a small number. If you were writing 3.47 billion or whatever, I'm just going to write a bunch of zeros here and not worry about where it actually comes out. We would still go to this point, right? So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we go 3.47 times 10. What did I say? What was it? 9? Times 10 to the 9th, and that's a positive one. So this you go a negative number, this you go positive. Fun fact. You know what atoms are and molecules. So technically speaking, sometimes you'll get molecules that go past each other. But like when you hit a table like such, and you feel the table, it's just molecules from your hand hitting molecules from the table. But there's a chance that they miss each other. There is technically a chance, let me see, roughly a chance, we'll use a quick ratio here, 1 in 5.2 times 10 to the 61st power that your hand will go straight through the table.
Seriously?
Yes.
So you just have to keep whacking.
Just keep whacking it until it goes through. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Let's do it.
That,
Do you realize how big of a number that is?
that's
It's a big number.
Good man.
So has it actually ever happened?
No. I don't think so. If it has, it's not on video anyway.
Mr. Kent, what about something much smaller, like a pencil?
Hmm?
What about with your finger?
Well, maybe.
Or a
Maybe that's what happens when a bullet goes through something. I don't know.
Or one of those pins, if you just kept hitting it with a
You'll be there for a minute. This is a much bigger number than a billion or a trillion. Anyway, oh yes.
But
by
the
far.
decimal and the bigger or what?
No, the whole thing
Oh,
times 10 to the
I was
61st.
looking at that up there.
Oh no, not that there. No, this. I'm not even gonna bother writing this one out just because I'd be bored. It's not a Google, but it's scarily close to it.
Maybe you should just have everybody in the hole and just start whacking tables.
That still wouldn't
Yeah,
work
earthquakes.
long term. Anyway, so that's probability for you in a quick little fun hit. All right. So let's go ahead and write. So we're going to first start by writing numbers to standard notation. So our first one is 4.21 times 10 to the which power? To the 6th. So all we do is we just go 4, 2, 1, and we just start moving our decimal point, right? So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And fill that all in with zeros. And that's written in standard notation. Feel free to add commas for your own personal benefit. So that is problem 1A.
What? Okay, that's only 4 zeros, Mr. Man.
I know, but it's 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, I think the ones that are
And that's the
negative,
thing.
get me are the negative ones.
Well, that's actually not too bad either. We'll talk about those here in a second. Actually, we'll talk about them right now. The thing to remember is that the decimal point starts out here right behind your first number. Notice this? That's always where your decimal point starts out at. So let's work with a negative number here. So we have this 9.04 times 10 to the negative fourth. So we go 904. Our decimal point starts out here, and it's a negative 4. You with me? So you go, well, you got to be with me. You have to have your eyes up here. So you just go 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0.000904. So that's for 1B. Notice though, just remember that this decimal point always goes right after that first number. And after that, we're going to multiply it because that's the easiest way to do it. I mean, you could do it on another number, but there'd be no point because then why would we stop anywhere?
Why do you need a decimal point? Why can't you just like, well, like say like for 3A?
Well, because then you might as well just write it out. Here's the reason. The reason why we do, I mean, the deal is most of these numbers are rounded significantly. All right? Like this number over here, this 5.2 times 10 to the 61st, that's a, I mean, the probability is there, but we're rounding this like to an insane degree that we just wind up with 5.2. Like if somebody says something is 4,000 light years, I mean 400,000 light years away, 400,000 light years, that number isn't exactly 400,000 light years. It's going to be 426,294 light years away or whatever. But they just rounded to 400,000 light years. Just because, why wouldn't you? Right? So that's the deal. Very often these things are rounded to an extreme extent. All right. So 2A.
Pass the table so bad. That'd just be so cool.
Just keep hitting. Just you might get lucky.
What happens if
You won't get lucky twice.
What happens if you would whack? If you just like were halfway through the table and you just stop?
You'll probably warp the fabric of space-time, but I'm not completely sure on that.
Because like wouldn't it just freeze your hand and the table together?
Probably.
That sounds.
There would probably be a chemical reaction at that point, and there would be some extreme heat. Your hand would burn off. Is actually probably what happened.
Wow, that doesn't sound healthy.
If you're fast enough, it might not.
It still sounds fun.
Hit it harder and fast.
You just like use force.
All right. So
I would like to.
let's do 8 times 10 to the 11th.
That one's simple.
It is.
Simple.
So then what are we going to do?
Hmm.
Where are we going to put our decimal?
Right behind the 8.
Right behind the 8. And move it how far?
11 places.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Ouch.
Feel free to add your commas. Oh, that's only 800 trillion. All right, and how about Leah? How would you do 3.2 times 10 to the negative third? 0.003?
2.
Oopsie. Right, exactly. And then you just go the other way with these ones. Make sure though that you go, like for the 78 million, for 3A, remember to write it down like this. 7.83 times 10 to the which?
7. What? Where you at?
Yeah,
To the
the
fifth.
7. No, it is the 7.
Ah, yes.
Because this decimal here has to be right after the 7.
Well, why couldn't you just go
It has to be after the first number.
783 times?
Well, probably because this number is rounded and where would you stop?
Uh,
But I'm guessing that's the main reason, but the other reason is because if we do them all exactly the same way, it makes life easier, right?
Well, why can't we just do it, okay, just, I can see how rounding has to do with something if it's like a negative number.
Well,
What
here's the
if it's a
deal.
positive number, like,
Let me put this in a quick nutshell for you. Here's another reason. It's much easier to multiply and divide these numbers if they're all set up this way.
why?
It just is. The decimal points line up easier. These numbers are much easier to work with if they're all set up this way. So this is the way we decided to set them up.
It just seems like you could just get rid of the decimal.
Okay, so Leah,
Do it
what's
all.
3b? What's the answer for that one?
67 times 10 to the negative 6.
6.7
6.7.
times 10 to the
Negative 5.
negative fifth. That's correct.
and
And
then
then for 4a, is it 2.2?
times
2.2, that's correct.
But let's
You
see.
have to have a decimal between those two first numbers.
I don't-
2.2.
Wouldn't it technically be correct though, like for?
No, it's the way they're always going to work. They're always going to be this way. They're going to be the decimal is going to be after
Wouldn't
your.
it technically be correct though to go 67 times 10 to the negative 4th?
Well, technically, but not. It's technically correct, but it's not actually correct. And I will not let you do that.
Well,
You're
should we
doing
not
some wrong.
do this
before I
slowly
that's
so the way
2.2
they can
times 10 to the
understand it?
negative- or to the 13.
Yes. What about B, Chris? 4B.
3 times 10 to the negative
No, you miscounted. Remember that decimal starts out behind the 9. All right?
8. Which one are you doing?
Well,
times
my
10
bad,
to the
the
negative
3.
Okay, you just gave an
I
answer.
just gave you the answer, yeah.
3 times 10 to
So
the
it
negative
starts out
The negative 9?
Yeah.
Right, so the decimal, you're counting from right here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So it's 0.3 to the negative.
3. Just 3. Because the way you would write this number is 3, correct? Normally, like the whole number 3, you write it as 3. There's nothing following. The decimal point is right here. You just never say anything about it because you just understand it's there. So you go 3 times 10 to the negative 9. Yes, sir.
Mr. Pitt,
Yes, sir.
so you know we have to have program practice this afternoon?
Yes, sir.
We could get our stuff done faster and we could do more program practice if we would, skip the hard problems.
So I'm in favor of that, especially
Okay, that's good.
9. And solving for 214.
Yeah, I want you to try to do 9 by yourself today because we have some other things going on. 13 and 14?
Those are just a pain.
What time are we doing program?
They're not hard, they're just.
2:30. After last. 2:30. That would be dentist time. All right. Oh,
Who's going to the dentist?
2:30. Dentist time. 2:30. 2:30. R.
That's not even fun.
Wait, how do you do this?
Does that qualify the dad joke?
Pretty close. You solve the equation for 0.
So 0,
Negative 2 times 0 over 4.
so
Right?
that would then 0 over 4.
Which is
0.
right.
This one, so.
Make sure you write it out. You have to write out your equation.
0
You have to write out your equation.
Okay, so how do you even do that?
Okay, so we have what? 4x.
How do you
Negative
think
4x.
divide something by 0?
Negative 4x over which?
No, negative 2x.
Negative 2x over 4.
Yeah, this is a little bit sketchy, but.
Or 2x over 4,
Zero
hang on,
equals
equals y.
zero.
So we're gonna go negative 2 times 0 over 4 equals y. And negative 2 times 0 equals 0.
0 divided by 4.
And 0 divided by 4 is still 0.
What? It's like,
So we have 0 equals y. So our first number is 0. 0 is compared to 0. But you have to write down your equation.
you don't erase that!
Yeah, I'll let you say.
All right. Ladies.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I seen them today, Justin?
5.2.
Well, I need a question answered about it.
So what's the question?
Is it 3 and with a 4 inside or 3 with a 2 inside?
I have 4 inside.
Because what I have is 2 2s left over. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to multiply them together or leave them.
Yeah, so here's the deal, if you can't, so you wind up like this, what, like 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3, correct?
Yeah.
Under the cube root. So what you do, because there aren't 3 of these, they have to stay underneath the radicator.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 2 times 2, which winds up being 4.
Okay. That's probably.
Okay, so.
And then on the outside, you just
I need to press on number 19. Yeah, me too.
19.
Is it just
all-
42? Yeah. Is it and 5? Is it 0 or 5? That's what I have.
You just write 0. You go 0.
Oh, just
It's
0.
it's a 0 slope, yes. Just 0. Alright.
Oh, we're supposed to write m equals all those ones too.
Yes, you also put it around for any equals. What is it? I keep wandering away from me.
I don't think you have copies.
Well, I need copies, I can find it.
It's like my little nephew keeps
Alright.
reading these
Well,
that
unfortunately-
he needs coffee.
Yeah, I know. I have a son or a daughter or two that feel that they need it as well. All right, so let's start out here at the beginning. Oh dear, we're quite out of time already. So number 1 is m equals 2. 2m equals negative 2/3. 3 m equals 1/2. 4 is undefined. 5 m equals 7.
7?
Yes.
I have a half. Negative half.
Do you have 2 over 14 rather, or what? No? Hang on. I don't know where that is. 6 is m equals 4, 5 over 4.
I have negative 5 over 4.
Both the top and bottom are negative, that would make it
But
positive.
how is the bottom negative? See, I did it backwards. I have negative 4.
Oh,
minus
it's
4.
1 minus a negative 4. So 1 minus negative
But
4
it
is
didn't
positive.
matter which way you did it.
I know, but here's the deal, it doesn't matter which way you do it, this way. So the way they have it is 1
Negative.
1 minus negative 4
Yeah.
over, what did they say? 9 minus 5. So it doesn't matter which way you do this, you can do negative
No, if you
4
have 5 minus 9, it's negative 4.
No, it's
minus
just
1.
4.
It's just 4. 9 minus 5 is 1, it's 4.
I have 5 minus 4. 9 minus.
Okay, hang on. We're gonna get there. I'm doing it the other way. They have to be in the same order, right? So your pairs are 1 and 9, and negative 4 and negative, oh no, negative 4 and 5, right?
Yeah, I have them like.
So that means they have to be lined up. So here, we'll just do it this way. We got 5, negative 4 and 5, minus 9. So in this case, what we get is we have a negative 4 minus 1, which is going to be
Negative 5.
negative 5. In this case, we have 5 minus 9, which is
4.
negative 4.
So you
Because
have
they're
a
both
negative on
negatives.
that one.
Because they're both negatives, then it equals 5 over 4.
Okay, what did I do wrong on 3? I have 1
You have 3 over 6?
Yeah. Oh, I just did that. I just did that. No, I
3
have.
over 6 reduces to 1 over 2.
I have the last 2 known.
Do you have 14 over 2
No, 1/2.
for 5?
Yeah.
You didn't have 14 over 2. Did you have,
No, see, I have negative 6 minus 8. And I put it down as 2 over negative 4. It's just wrong.
yeah, it's wrong. You just did it incorrectly. All right. 7.
No.
A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. 8. 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. 9x to the 4th minus 16x squared plus 64. 10 is 4k squared minus 4. 11, 7m squared plus 5m plus 3, 12, 5x cubed plus 9x squared plus 2x plus 8
Plus 2.
plus 2x. Let me just double check on those numbers because I still don't trust these guys.
That's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
have.
they have a 7x and a 5x, negative 5x, so it'd be 2x. 13, they have 3x times 6x squared plus 2x plus y. 14 is 9xy times 2x squared plus 3y. 15, no GCF. 16, 2xy times 12y minus 3x plus 1. 17, 40m squared minus 2m minus 2. 18, 2x squared plus 7x minus 3.
What was that one?
Which one? 18, 17. 6x squared plus 7x minus 3.
The first time you said it, 2x.
I'm
Well, why
sorry.
is it 7x? I have 4x minus 2.
Because they have a negative 2x and a positive 9x. You go together, you get a 7x.
Okay, so it's brown.
19 is x to the fourth plus x squared minus 2. 20 is 2z minus 3. 21. Negative n over 2 plus 1 over 4. 22, 5x squared minus 2x plus 6. 23, 3x plus 2 minus 1 over x.
1 over x? I just said x.
That'd be x over 1. 1 over x is equal to 1. Did you have 1 over x in your previous work? Or can you find it?
It's right here, so I just didn't put, I have 1 over x right there, but I didn't.
Yeah, you thought it simplified to simplify to an x? Yeah, so x over 1 would simplify to an x. But 1 over x is not. No way to split 1 over x. 24 is x equals 1, 25 x equals negative 3, 26 x equals 12, 27 negative 2 equals negative 2, 5,
What was that one?
negative 2, 5, negative 1, negative 1, negative negative 7. This is on a graph.
Negative 2, 5.
Negative 2, 5, negative 1, 1. Oh, negative 1, negative 1, my bad. And 0, negative 7. 28, your pairs are 0, negative 7, 1, negative 1, 2, 5.
Yep.
29 is negative 3. 30 is negative 1 over 6. 31, undefined. 32, solid, negative 5.5 with an arrow to the right. 33, dot on 21, arrow to the left.
That means all of mine are switched.
Got them wrong again.
Yeah.
34, circle on the 5 with an arrow to the right. 35, circle on the 3 and a dot on the 10. And the line between them. 36, circle on the negative, circle on the 3, my bad, with an arrow to the left, dot on the 10, arrow to the right. 37, x is less than or equal to negative 5, or x is greater than negative 1. 38, 15 is less than x is less than 20. 39, 12 and 9/10.
12 and 9?
12 and
I have
9/10.
18 and 21 over 3. And I have no.
I have no clue how you came up with a number, but it's not coming up in my work here. 12 and 9/10, 40, 3 and 1/6.
I didn't reduce it. That's 1 over 18. 3 over 18.
3 over 18. And half, am I reducing? 41 is 1/3. 42 is 10 over 33. 43 is m equals 1. 44, m equals 2/5. 45, m equals 10. 46, m equals negative 1. 47, m equals 4. 48, m equals 1. 49, m equals 5 over 3. What's the problem?
No. We didn't do those extra brackets.
Okay. So we're at what, 46?
45.
Mr. Clinton, I have a question. So when the number comes before the x, the arrow goes the opposite way?
You know, here's the deal, is I don't work with
Keep
it that
getting
way.
this wrong.
Alright, so here's the deal.
I usually just, whichever, it's confusing.
I usually
15,
go the
so it's like
way
this.
there,
Yeah, but when the X is on the other side, you just have the opposite.
Okay, here's,
I get so confused.
what you're doing is you're confusing yourselves. Alright, so here's the deal. So we know look at this. X is greater than 15, correct?
Yeah.
So that means you put 15 on your number line, and greater than is this way. So X is greater
So
than
if
15.
it's always this, we just do it this way.
No, sometimes I have X is greater than 15, which you would graph exactly the same.
Yeah, I know.
See, the deal is, you have to look at whether it's greater than or less than, not by which direction the arrow is going.
That's the only way I can get it. But when
No,
it's like
you're
that,
wrong.
I know it goes the same way.
So
because
what
it's
is
with
X? Is
X
X,
is an unknown number.
okay, but is it the number, the arrows? Yeah, is it any number?
Okay, you're
that
thinking
they-
about this, you're trying to think about this without thinking about it theoretically, and that's your problem. So you have to think about this a little theoretically. Let's think about it this way, with our 10 minutes left of class.
I had 8.5 on that.
There's, call it 52 points.
Mr. Penn, I have a question.
Yes.
So, I have the graph is 5. I wrote 5, but my negative line is still underneath, and it looks like I wrote a negative 5, but I didn't.
Okay, so if I were checking that, I would probably count it wrong.
Exactly.
But if you're checking it, I'll give you the freedom to
Okay.
interpret that work.
That's why I even told you, because I knew that you were my friend, but I didn't.
Exactly. All right, so here's the deal. You have to think with you can't think about this sign as an arrow. Okay? It doesn't work, and you'll always get it wrong. You cannot think about that sign as an arrow. This is simply a symbol showing that something is greater or less than. So what you have to think for example, say, okay, so Mr. Kent, we're going to set the bar low here, is greater than 160 pounds because we know that, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
So we could turn that around, we could say 160 pounds
it's
is less than Mr. Kent. That's also correct. The thing to remember here is that the wide end goes toward the big side. So if we were to graph this, we know that our
Same
numbers,
direction.
no,
Oh,
it
your
doesn't
big
work that
numbers
way.
are on your right. and
Our
your
big
small
numbers
on your
are
left.
always on the right of our number line, right? So whichever side the big side is toward goes on the right side. So we have 160 pounds here, and we put Mr. Kent on the right side of that. That's how you have to treat it, because you put whoever's the biggest on the right side. I mean, if Mr. Kent is less than 300, which he is, we'll call him K now because I don't feel like writing it out every time. So we know now that I'm also less than 300 pounds. We can write that out as a number line like this. We have 300, circle it. I'm less than that, so that line goes to the left. Still confusing? Okay.
I just
here's
thought
the
of
deal.
another way, but you said it's wrong that way.
You have to look at the symbol, all right? Whichever side the wide side is on is to the right.
Yeah, but see what, I know if it's 160 before, it's gonna go the same direction as the other one. I know that much.
With what?
As Mr. Kent.
No, this isn't an arrow, Lisa. That's not an arrow.
No, I know they both go the same direction as Mr.
Okay.
Kent. I got it wrong one time.
All right, I'll
But
I'll
it is
tell you
an
what.
arrow now.
Because of our time restraints, let me look at our work today.
Don't skip something there. Right to 25. Skip the rest of the one.
I have a plan for 33 through 36. So don't do those ones. I will come up with something. I have a quick plan. But I
33 to
can't.
36.
33 through 36. Don't do those yet. I might make you do that later on this afternoon before we close, possibly. Yes.
Okay,
All right.
actually, what else was it doing? Are we doing the unified?
Say what?
Are we doing the unified today?
Yes. All right, establishing equalities in geometry or additional quantities, which we have so little time for this, and it's kind of an intense lesson, but I don't know what else to do with my time here, so there you go.
So do you solve x squared minus 2y squared? That
I
one?
looked at it a little bit, but I got carried away by circles and rectangles this weekend. All right. So here's the deal. If we're going to basically we wind up using those 6 steps, kind of, but we're solving for geometric figures, and we still use the same 6 steps. It's just that we're using we're just playing with some other algebra and some known stuff from geometry, right? So their first problem they have a triangle. We're calling it A, B, C, right? So this is just a visual representation of this triangle. We know that angle A is twice as large as angle B, and angle C is 5 degrees less than angle A. And we want to know what the measurements of the angles are. The thing about triangles that we know is that the sum of all the angles equals, if you add all the angles together, they equal 180 degrees. So that's the given that they're not giving us that you're supposed to know, correct? So here's the deal. So we're going to start out here with A, right? We know that A equals something. We've got to set this up. Well, actually, we'll just go like this. We'll start like this. A plus B plus C equals 180, right? We know that to start with. So now we just have to figure out what they come to algebraically. So we have to represent them all with algebraic formulas. All right. So, how would we represent A?
2x.
2x. What's x in this situation? We're going to use x for B. And for C, what are we going to use for C?
2x minus 5.
Right. So now we just get to solve the equation like normal. Right? So from here on out, we would just get, well, we know we have 5 x's. And minus 5 equals 180. And solve it.
Add 5 on the
I don't have to worry about that because of our time restraint. So, we are going to worry about,
Did you do example 1?
I did the first example on page 207.
Yeah, you did have the comment. But why does yours say 5x and theirs says... Oh no, they do, never mind.
They do that, you know. I almost had a shortcut, but we're not allowed to take shortcuts, so I didn't. All right. We're going to start with the first problem. We have a quadrilateral. What's a quadrilateral?
It equals to, it's equal on both sides, I think. Isn't it? I can't
A
remember.
quadrilateral simply has 4 sides. So the sum of the angles of a quadrilateral, we're calling this quadrilateral A, B, C, D. The sum of the angles of a quadrilateral is what? Any clue? 360, you're correct. All right, so that's where we're going to start. That's our known that we're going to start with. So we have to start by going like this. A plus B. Make sure you write these things down because I know it takes a little more time. I'm trying to decide how to combat that for you. basically, we know that you add them all together, it equals 360, so that means angle A is going, well, we have to figure out what x is. What's x in this situation?
It has to be A.
I would say A would be a great one to have for x, so we'll just start with him. Angle B is 2x. That's what it says. Angle C is
X minus 10.
x minus 10. Angle D is
2x minus 2x plus 10. 2x plus 10.
2x plus 10. All right, equals 360. Let's solve it.
Okay,
So
so
put all our x's together.
7x.
6x.
Okay.
Is 6.
Yeah.
2 and 2 is 4, and then x and x is another 2. Go ahead. And,
0.
all right, that's correct.
Equals 6. So x equals 6.
So we can do x plus 0 for 1, but we don't have to. Because those do not have that's 360.
Oh.
Because
Six.
it just is. So 6x equals 360. It's very simple in this situation.
That's it.
Just divide both sides by 6. So x equals,
60.
right? So we're going to start here by, we know A, oopsie, A equals 60, B equals
180.
60 times 2 is 180.
No,
6 times 2.
120.
All right. C is
50.
and D is
70. Right now.
2x plus 10.
130.
130. All right. So now we have our answer. Make sure you do your checking. So 60 plus 120. This is a situation where you can use your calculator if you wish. I don't care.
130 plus 50 is 180 and 120 plus 60 is 180.
Right. Continue on 180. 180. Oopsie. 360.
I'm not sure. See, like, I don't know what is a rectangle for 60 feet.
Right. It's a quadrilateral. It's a
So
quadrilateral.
anything that has 4 sides.
It has 4 sides, it's quadrilateral.
And
The angles equal 360. That's 3 sides equals 180. A rectangle has a width of 4 feet and a length of 5. So what number of feet can be added to make the resulting perimeter 5 times
I have no idea.
5 times the original perimeter? All right, so let's start out like this. Let's start out by drawing a little bit of a diagram. So we start out with a rectangle. It has 4 and 5, correct? So we know, well, basically, here's the deal. We want to make, our final answer here is that we want to have the final perimeter be 5 times the original perimeter, right? And we want to know how many feet to add to it. So that makes it a little complicated
You just go.
because we know the perimeter formula is, say what?
You just go 20 times 5 and you find the back, right? You would have to worry about
Well, so the problem is we want to figure this out algebraically. We don't want this.
So it's 180.
We don't want the answer. We want the solution. I mean, we don't want the solution. We want the. No, we want the answer. We want the solution. All right. So here's the deal. Here's how we're going to sort this out. Is we're going to start with our perimeter formula, which is perimeter equals.
2L plus 2W.
All right. So this is our original perimeter formula. So our original perimeter is going to be, we already can figure out our original perimeter. Just to go 4 plus 4 and 5 plus 5 and add together, we get
4 plus 4.
2L plus 2W. So that is 2 times 4 plus 2 times 5.
So 18.
18, right? So we'll start with that number. 18 equals 2L times 2W. Now, here's the deal. We want it to be 5 times this length, right? But we don't know what number to add to hit that. So our number to add is going to be n. Right? To each side. So we start out here with this, my bad, 2 times 5 plus 2 times 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up this situation like this. So we want this to be 5 times 18. So we start like this, 5 times 18. We want it to be 5 times that. And then we start doing this number. We go 2, 5 plus n, plus 2, 4 plus n. All right, so this is working through this situation in a modally algebraic solution. It's a little bit of an odd one, but I have run into situations like this before. And it's embarrassing to me how many times I've just guessed at it. But this is the formula you're looking for. You want to know how much you have to add. You have to add the same amount to either one in order to solve it. So that's your equation for this one. And we are so far out of time. I want to work through some of the other stuff maybe this afternoon if we have some time. But it's time for recess currently. Oh, shucks. Is it? You make a Z pick?
So that this big, should I fill? On number 2, the 36.
The thing you're forgetting is it's 2 times that number.
Oh, 2 and 2.
So you can get
I went 10 plus and plus 8 plus
10 plus, yeah, so that's going to be 10 plus
So
2n because we're going to use distributive property.
So 18 plus 4 equals 90.
Are you going to pick me?
Is it my turn to pick?
It is, sir.
Is it near enough to the freezing point that's on the side?
Say what? The freezing point?
Never mind. I must have
It's getting there.
Freezing point. Yeah.
Do you think we should play outside or?
Does it equal 18?
We definitely think we should play inside.
You just have to write n equals 18. So
That's how much you have to add to each one, yeah. That's what they, basically, what they want is, the answer they have, which if you have 18 feet down, that's good. But the answer they have is adding 18 feet will result in a perimeter 5 times the original.
And be sure to check that as well.
Should we do volleyball?
We can. Might be a little chilly, but I'm sure we can make it work. Set up some teams real quick. Let me see. Go out. Figure out teams. Volleyball. Maybe we'll see.
Whose court is it, Mr. Kenton? Oh.
Part 1 languages.
Yeehaw!
And then the bed of nails, and then the rack.
I think the wheel.
What? And math.
Maybe the wheel. Alright.
I already made it past the first torture chamber.
No, I'm not even past the first.
That's what you think.
I got my thumb.
Now we're gonna pour the heat on.
My first finger. They tried
They
to
had
walk the
barely
nail and
splits over my fingers.
No, in volleyball, they were trying to, they made us go play in the freezing.
Oh, yeah, that was, okay, so I made it through 2 torture chambers.
I had to do the first one, I thought.
Those are actually some pretty fun games, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were a lot funner than this.
Says the team who won both times.
Oh, yeah, there's
So
that.
fun.
I don't know. My teammates also weren't hitting them with their heads, so there was that.
Well, we actually scored a point on that.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of cool. That one bonk that Kyle did was actually alright.
Yeah, but I would say the
Did
probability
they
of
not let
actually
you
working
guys
is
keep
pretty
that?
low.
What?
No, they just said next time it's an automatic loss.
We would have. I'm pretty sure we had enough cheaters on.
Do you guys
Pretty
actually
good show.
like that coffee up there?
Not really, but.
Depends on if it's better than nothing.
It's
What
pretty
kind
bad.
is it? Folgers?
No, but it's really strong. I put a lot in. Is that why?
Really strong and not that great. Alright.
What?
Readly.
What did I get? That is so how you spell fallible.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Fallible.
Fallible. How do you spell fallible?
2 L's.
Well, on this.
I want to see. Wait. I want to see. I think I got.
Number 3 is
I think it was
an exam
ideally.
for yours.
No. I don't really care.
I don't know. This?
It's not 2
But
L's.
you're not allowed to do it here.
What's wrong with
I
it?
think.
I do want
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Where? Look at that.
You still need to do the work.
Oh, come on.
Oh, you failed.
You got 100.
Yeah, I actually got out pretty well.
Oh,
And that was like
Alright.
not in the language quiz.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I thought it was.
98 and 94 or something.
So what?
I Mr. Ken, I did not have a grip on that.
I will try to help you out here. Let's make sure these things go quickly so we can get on to some of the other stuff.
What about the sourdough and medicine?
I don't know.
Yeah, when are we eating those?
I can help you open them.
I know I opened them too. That's what was stopping you from here.
You know, that
No,
guy.
that wasn't it.
He said they wrote some other things that were.
Alright. Let's check reading. In the world. He said, like he really thought that was unexpected.
Yeah.
Great.
Get extra practice.
So what?
Or doing extra practice.
I would like to do one of the extra practice, but I will get to that here in a minute if I can. Alright. And actually, you can go on and do literature or something if you wish.
I would wish.
And I'll come back and help you with these. Because I want you to have a grip on what's going on, and if you don't have a grip on it, you keep doing the
Well, I
negative.
can tell you the other left.
Yeah, you can do the other part of the lesson.
Because I'm not actually going to on them.
Yeah, that's all right. You can do that eventually. All right. Number 17, page 17, number 1, for reading. Enough, more, and plentiful. And number 2, avoid, reject. Number 3, loving strangers. Oh, that's interesting.
I have
Number 4, loving wisdom.
stranger singular, not plural.
Loving stranger. Number 5 is one who loves wisdom.
I love them.
What are number 4?
Yeah, loving wisdom. Number 4 is loving wisdom. Number 5 is one who loves wisdom. So a person who loves wisdom, a philosopher. Number 6. Philoxenus loves strangers and loves wisdom.
Oh, it's a stranger that you never met before. I have never met before.
I had you was a stranger that loved everything and he studied philosophy.
Philoxenus is the main character of Raymond and the Holden story, The Seven Caves of Spring. Philoxenus studies philosophy. No. Yeah, basically you need to have so Philoxenus loves strangers, like that's definitely.
I have I have he
and
loves.
studied philosophy.
I have he loved, for number 6, I have he loved searching for and getting wisdom.
You have anything for loving strangers?
Well, I have he was a stranger that went there.
So I'll make that 2 points, and 1 for the loving strangers and 1 for the loving wisdom.
So I
You
got
have both
2
of the
points off.
You don't have either of those as 2 points.
Well,
Yes.
fine.
Well, fine. No, you need to have the thing, he loved wisdom and loved strangers. There's also something called xenophobia, which means fear of strangers.
Xenophobia?
Xenophobia.
Xenophobia. I'm not afraid of strangers, I just don't like talking to them.
Yeah.
Depends what kind of stranger they
That's
are.
a really.
If they're a creepy stranger, then yeah, it's a
store
story.
stranger or like at church.
All right, number 7. The island had no fresh water.
And they didn't have any clean water.
Number 8 is D, E, and E. D, E, and E.
Whoa.
And without A. 9, he loved his country and fellow countrymen.
Have you read out of the great book?
And I have somebody had died of like in water or whatever.
What led Ulysses to devote himself to resolving the problem of the water supply?
He read out of the great
Did
book
some-
and said what one can't do, two can do, so on and so forth.
I have he loved his country and fellow men.
That's good.
Didn't somebody die and then he something like water poisoning or something?
Well, maybe.
I mean that would
Loving his country is definitely, so Richards is definitely right. If you have, I didn't read this story. I should. Yeah, reading it out of the great book is also good to a certain extent, but it's not really the trigger that triggered him to needing to resolve this problem. Someone dying, I'll give you half point for that one. The book one, I can't give you any points for that. Number 10. He discovered that the people of all kingdoms were remarkably alike.
I think he just didn't want to share.
Yeah, I said they were unhappy.
That surprised him the most.
I don't know.
And surprisingly, none of them wanted to share with other people. Until he gave him his big spiel on.
I really got that surprised.
I feel like that didn't really surprise him.
I have.
Hey, you know how many
It would've
Algebra
surprised
lessons are
me.
in?
Quite a few.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have surprised me.
Yeah, nobody wanted to share, that would surprise you?
Well, water. Like,
I know.
you should want to
I
share
didn't
water.
share water.
Mr. Cook, I have they all had the same problem.
Right, so they're all remarkable. I can work with that. But what about not sharing water? I don't like that one. What was one you had, Toby?
They were all unhappy people.
I don't think that's really the answer either. Yeah, Chris?
For which one?
Or number 10.
And all people were remarkably alike.
Number 11. They were angry.
They didn't like it.
They didn't like it.
Yeah,
They were unhappy or skeptical, something like that. 12 is C. 13, walls covered with water. The walls covered with water.
Yeah, I
Oh, which
just
one we wanted to do?
12 is C.
For 13, how about I have, you're on 13, right?
Yes.
I know probably where all the walls are.
Yes. 14. The walls between the kingdoms were gone.
I have he wanted peace.
One day the walls were knocked down by the fellows innocent and ain't happy.
There are no more
Yeah.
barriers between you.
Yep, that's good. 15 is no streams flow away from the spring.
some people were kind of greedy.
I just have the water didn't go anywhere, it's back in the ground.
I had to all, they had to go all the way to the center, no matter where they were.
They had to walk a long ways to get water, especially if you live by the ocean.
16 A and D.
Where did it say the bones of fallen soldiers were carved as high as the building? I don't remember reading anything about that.
I'm guessing it's there. look though. I haven't seen it personally. 17A, 18E, 19F, 20B, 21C, 22D.
So if I have two switched, are they both wrong?
I haven't even counted them that way, yes.
Okay, what was 17 through 19?
A, E, F, B, C, D. 23 is C, 24 is D, 25. The other kingdoms needed the water as much as we. That's the first premise. Second premise, that if the spring should be found in one of them, we would like to have them share it with us. That's the second premise.
I have them.
And the third, the reason the spring was lost in the first place is that the kingdoms did not follow the teaching of the great book.
So if they're one's wrong, then all the rest are wrong.
Well, let me see, like you have them in the wrong order?
Yeah. Well, actually, I have one before that the other things even much.
You
Needed
have-
water as much as we. I just have one wrong.
And then, okay, see, then I'll give you just one wrong. 26, the thing about working together and sharing sources, sharing in the community. Let me hand that out, look at that.
How many points is that? Is actually,
Not that many.
that's not good because I
Why don't I
like
call-
12 wrong or something.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate, that's half of that. Roughly, it's a deal, 65 or something. Let me see. I'll give you 10 points for 26. Nine, 31, 32, 33, 34. I'll give those two as well. I'll give you 50 today just because I feel like it.
Thank you. I don't know if that's going to do me any good.
So you still have 24 points off, so it'll be
I have 11.
11 and a half. So it's going to be 23 points. So then 100 minus 23 No.
Just 2 points apiece.
So 2 points apiece.
Seven?
Yes. Okay. Okay, let's check literature while we're here. We can do that quickly, that'd be good. The self-made fool, fall, good luck. Self-made fool, solve. I've always wondered whether it's Amalekites or Amalekites. I think it's Amalekites. Alright, lesson 8. Number 1 is C. 2A. Number 1 is C. 2A. 3B. 4B, 5C, 6B, 7B. 6B. An imposter is a fake. Do you have an intruder? Yeah, no, an imposter is, so an imposter can be an intruder, but an intruder is different. An imposter is someone who, well, for example, there was one airline pilot who never got a license, and somehow he was able to take his way into it without a license, and so he was an imposter.
You would just catch the, you just sit
There
on
was
the.
actually another guy who flew for 23 years, never had a license, from South Africa.
He flew?
Did he ever get in trouble?
If you just put it
Well, he
on.
got, it's kind of strange, because after all that time of flying, He got fired as soon as it got out. All right, yeah, and you were referring to Captain McCann. It's a good book, I like it. Number 8, Clovis G. Chappelle. Number 9 is C, 10B, 11D, 12C, 13B, 14A, 15B, 16B, 17D, 18B, 19B, 20A, 21C.
Okay, can you repeat 18 again now?
18B, 19B, 20A, 21C.
18 is B.
What do you have?
I have D.
None's also a powerful lesson. We'll give you a half point for that.
Okay, what? This is that number 2,
What do you have? Do you have some struggles?
I had 4 of those wrong right there.
17, is that one wrong?
Yep.
What do you have for
I
that?
had A, I had no idea.
Yeah, that one definitely took some of those away. All right. 22, well-watered plains. 23, mocked, ignored, and lost.
I saw the blue state.
24, want. 25, Abraham. 26, mercy. 27, courtesy. 28, pride, bread, and idleness. All those 3 points apiece.
I don't know.
So you get a half, call it 1 point off.
So when you say that, do you mean like off of 100?
I would at 5.5, it should be a better grade than
Still, I don't know, 5.5?
that.
Yeah, 16
More.
points. Okay. So, I want to hit algebra a little bit right now.
Let's hit it hard in the head.
Well, it might not fix it. The algebra will still be there. It's been there for a while.
It's not gonna be here soon, but it's here.
That's right. We'll just work on it next.
Let's go really fast.
So far.
Huh.
We're almost.
Slow down to a crawl this week.
By the way, has anybody noticed my vote? I think it's funny.
Yeah,
So-
I got it.
Yeah. Not a very smart person.
But what happened to X, Y, and Z now? They are
They
hiding in the
disappeared.
cave.
They're hiding in the cave currently.
What is the fire still going on outside the cave?
It's awesome.
I think that's what it is, and it looks like smoke.
But
Unless
what,
it's dark.
what are they saying?
Yeah, it's just
This is
dark.
actually what you're,
This is actually what you're doing.
Somebody has a plan. We're not quite sure what it was.
So they perished.
So is this
the
just
rest
like
of
a-
them died in the tree.
Are you making this up on the spot, or is it actually something?
Well, if the question is if I'm making it up or not, yes, I am. If I'm making it up on the spot or not, well, sometimes I plan things.
You do?
And other times I don't. All right. It's going a direction. I'll put it that way.
One direction?
That's a man. All right.
I know it
Nothing like a good old boy there. Just really one word. All right, so here's the deal.
is. Yeah.
That's enough for me. Then no need. So here's the deal. So the reason that the next one is a geometric equation, roughly, is because,
It's easy.
well,
Do it in your head.
it is, but that doesn't mean you should. The point here is not to do, we don't want the answer. Anybody can get this answer. What we want is a system for getting it. All right, so
And
here's
I
the
did
deal.
write a system, I did write the answer either.
So, I should maybe go back and clarify a little bit, is the first step in, once we get to a situation like this, is finding out what n is. So like we've been used to labeling our variables as n, right? In this situation, we're asking for something different. Rather than looking for our variables, which are, I mean, it still is a variable, but rather than labeling our dimensions or our time or our age or whatever as a variable, we're looking for something completely different. So what we're looking for is, we're looking for, in this case, the amount of time, for number 3, I want, the amount of time that is going to go past until Sandy is half of her mother's age. All right? So we know, starting out, that Sandy is 4 and her mother is 30, right? So here's the question. So we want to know how many years, which is n, right? N is the amount of years until this, whatever, comes to pass. So we have to set this up a completely different way. We start out, make sure that Sandy is 4 and her mother is 30, right? And we want to know when, basically, 2n will equal her mother, correct? The problem is these years happen to both sides. So what I mean, we're going to have to balance this out. We're going to have to put these people on opposite sides of the equation, correct? So we're going to have an n on each side. At least that's how I do it. Let me make sure this is how they're going to do it. Yes?
So, do they want half of mother's age right now? Or when Sandy is going to be
In the
half
future.
of her mother's age?
When Sandy is going to be half of her mother's age, right?
And her
So
mom's
that
a
means-
different age too.
Her mom, right, her mom's going to be a different age too. So that means that we're going to start out like this. All right? So we're going to start out here by putting, we're going to put mother on one side, plus the years that are going to happen, right? So that's going to be mother, 30, plus n, or y, or whatever. So that's mother in however many years. And on the other side, we have Sandy, plus however many years, right?
So,
So we have 4 plus n, but Sandy is going to be
half.
half of her mother's age, right? So that means,
You put 4 plus 1 over 2.
well, so Sandy is going to be the small number. So that means we have to actually divide the big number, right? Or we can put down 1/2, but. So this is how this gets set up. So we have to make sure that, so they're going to be equaling each other. That's the important thing to remember. So when will Sandy be half of her mother's age? So you have to have your mother divided by 2 over here equals Sandy in however many years. Now what we're looking for here is still the years. So at this point we just solve it, right? So we know that to start off with, we just multiply everything by 2. So we get 30 plus n equals,
3 plus 3.
right? And now, so we get 30 equals 8 plus n.
Subtract 8.
So, in 22 years, other than Sandy will be half of mother's age. So that's the answer, 22 years. So now we have to go through and we have to check it, obviously. So we just plug our 22 in. So the 30 plus 22 over 2 equals 4 plus 22. So this is going to be 26. That's how old Sandy's going to be. And this side, we'll have 30 plus 22, which is 52. 52 over 2, which is 26. That's correct. So, right, so her mother will be 52, Sandy will be 26 in 22 years.
So, but it says in how many years, so do we just write 22?
Right, in 22 years, Sandy will be half of mother's age. Okay. complementary angles are. They're throwing a lot of geometry terms at you that I feel like you haven't actually learned. I'm going to go in here to the end of the lesson. Okay. Complementary angles are, sure I get this right, I'm pretty sure. Okay, right. So complementary angles, if you add them up together, so you have basically angle A plus angle B. If you add two complementary angles and you get 90 degrees. Are they going to talk about supplementary angles too? Okay, nope. All right, so here's the deal. So we know how we're going to set this up. Our two angles are angle A and angle B, right? So angle A equals A, and angle B is going to be
4 minus 10.
4A minus 10. So now we just set up our equation, and that equals right. And solve. Check. Right, we're not going to go into any more. You can work it out from here. I do want to talk about the next one, all right? These are things I actually struggled with for a long time in algebra. The important thing is the setup, and that's, to be real honest, the reason I'm so hard on you about setup and making sure you get everything right is because this is something that I missed for a long time, and I struggled because of it. I struggled well into my career, engineering, because of this, because I didn't know how to set things up. Well, I actually just got hold of another textbook and just followed through and nailed it down. All right, so here's the deal. Our problem here is we have, what's our situation? All right.
10 years ago, the age is total 100. Why don't we know?
Okay, so we start out with figuring out what, we gotta list each one of them, right? So we have Matthew and his father. So right now, their ages are what? What's Matthew's age? We're gonna list this algebraically. X, yep. And his father's age is going to be 2x. Now this is their time, this is their ages right now, right? Well, first you start writing down your equation. So, 10 years ago, their ages equal 100, right? So this is, we're building the other side of the equation here, right? So we know that 10 years ago, so we go basically 100 was 10 years ago, and so now we want their ages now, so that's going to be 100 plus 10. All right, so this is now what their ages equal. If you add them together, so we get x plus 2x, which equals 3x equals. All right. Oh, hang on. Why did I do that? Oh, there it is. Now. Oh, I forgot about this little detail. Yes. I don't like the details. It's totally. Oh no, but it makes sense. So here's the reason that here's so if I would have done the plus 20, I forgot that both of them are getting older. We're gonna have to represent these guys differently. All right. We're gonna have to go like this: Matthew minus 10, and his father minus 10 as well. This is the thing I forgot. So we have to represent them with this wood and subtract 10 from both their ages. All right, I forgot that little detail would actually drastically change. So it's x minus 10, because it's 10 years ago. Yes.
130.
Yeah, 140 does, it's 40. When you do 30 days.
No, this is his age now, actually.
So Matthew's 30.
Matthew's 30. 10 years ago, his father was 70, he was 30, and then they equal 100. But what his ages are now is what they're concerned about. What's his age now?
40.
Which is 48.
So Matthew's 40. What's his dad?
Sorry for the confusion.
It's 70. His dad is 70.
80.
Currently, his dad is not 70.
It's 80.
Currently, his dad is
80 then.
80.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. So they're asking for his age now, not 10
Okay,
years.
one of them is gonna be 40 and the other one's gonna be 80.
Yes. Is it kind of starting to work out a little bit?
No.
All right, I want to do one more.
Okay.
If we can.
It's 246, so it's 245.
Geometry is more fun than this. All right. So we start by going through the steps. We label our variables, which are Jason and Sarah. And Father again. All right. So Jason is 35. Father is 61. All right. So the question is, how many years ago did their ages equal? Total 64, right? So we have to subtract the same amount from both of them, right? And that's going to be
Ooh, that's bananas.
an n, right? So our equation, it says equals 64 on the end, so we know that has to be. And how many years ago did their ages added together equal 64? So here's what I got to do. We're looking for the amount of years. 85 minus n.
That's 61.
That's 61 minus n. And you solve from there. So 35 and 61 together are
96. 96 minus plus. Plus 20.
Is it? No, it's mine. No, it's not. It is mine.
Minus n squared.
no,
No, it's just
squared.
N.
No, it's minus 2n. There's two negative n's here. We have no.
Equals 64.
Okay.
Minus n is 16. And that's going to be
No, because negative 3.
Okay, what do we have here?
32.
It's
So
negative.
it'd be
Make sure it's
16.
N equals 16.
Okay, so we have both sides by negative 2. And n equals 16.
So
I'm
Jason,
going to check that as well.
Jason was 16.
Plug it back in here.
No,
Plug it back
16
in.
years
16
ago.
years ago. We're looking for the amount of years that passed here. That's the important thing to remember. And I should have caught it before. I feel like I messed something up when I did that before with the, whatever it was. X minus 10 and the 2x minus 10 situation. I should have caught that because we're doing all of the ages the same way. But we'll come back and we'll do 45 tomorrow.
What about
33.
33 to 36?
I still don't have my thing together. I still want to have you language like writing. Those are not going to be
I better do literature.
Yeah, I'll say do literature. And there's an English quiz today, which is good.
Is it an easy one?
Yeah. Because there's some stuff that we remember. It's not a big deal. All right. And language. Your quizzes.
Yeah.
So
No,
we're
we have
going to,
planning and speech.
well, actually, we're not going to. We're going to do that after you get back from Christmas vacation.
Yes,
Yes.
we do, which is stupid.
I'm gonna do another one.
They are so dumb.
Here's the deal.
They're
We're going to jump
forming lumps of clay to beautiful vessels.
We're
That's
jumping,
so.
we are jumping to chapter, lesson 11.
What, we're jumping?
We're not going to do the speech right now.
I already
Alright,
did
sorry.
a bunch of work preparing lessons.
Well,
I'll be fine with
that's all right.
I'm
We are going to jump, we're not gonna do any of this speeching stuff until after Christmas vacation. So,
But I don't have to do it about myself.
we'll get to that eventually. Alright. I should have mentioned that earlier in the day, and I didn't think about, I had the wrong number now. My bad. I knew it was coming, and it was in my book.
Why don't we just quit doing it though? I'm in favor of that.
No, I want to do it right.
Oh.
Alright. So, apostrophes and possessive verbs, which should not be that difficult. There's some rules. You use an apostrophe to form a possessive noun, which you should know.
Where are you at here?
Lesson 11.
So we're jumping all the way there.
That's what we've been saying for the last 2 minutes, yeah. So, for example, if I took someone's book, where would I put my apostrophe?
After,
S. After the S.
I would actually put
I
it
mean,
here.
in between the S and the yeah.
I would take it there. I would put it there. That's how you would generally show possession. Or, for example, a day's wages. A day's wages are kind of the same thing, right? The wages belong to the day. This is a shortish lesson here on number 11. All right. If there's separate ownership, still add an apostrophe S. Basically, customers and retailer's signature. Essentially sisters. But to show joint possession, add the apostrophe S to the last name or word, which is that's the tricky thing. So here's the thing. So in this situation, I grabbed Cody's and Chris's books, right? Because they're separate books, they own them separately. But if I would, let's say, for example, Cody and Chris own something together, what would you own together? You maybe have a project you're doing together, right? Then I would say I grabbed, or I'm grading, Cody and Chris's project, right? This is a project they're doing together. This is their project together. So I only apostrophize and add an S to that last one, right? But since you have different books, I put them separately.
Let's see. So like number one, it would be Utah and Nevada's border.
Right, because Utah and Nevada share a border. So you're right, Utah and Nevada's border, we would use this rule right here. The name of everyone, you would say, Leah,
what?
number 2.
Everyone's name.
Everyone's name is apostrophe S the sucker. What about number
So how would you do it? So
4? How would you do that?
okay, what was number 2?
Everyone's name, just apostrophe S it. Generally speaking, that's
Ain't that what you did for the first one?
well, you do go Utah and Nevada. You do this situation for the first one because they share a border, right? You have Utah on one side, and on this side you have Nevada. They share the border, so you say Utah and Nevada's border. Right, so you only have an apostrophe S after Nevada. Number 4, I'm interested in. How would you do that?
The attorney.
The Attorney General's office.
Yes, because Attorney General, that's your whole noun, right?
Yeah. The attorney general.
General's office.
So for
Attorney General.
for 5, would that be Jake and no me and Jake's?
Okay, do you share it?
Jake and mine.
Mine and Jake's. That's mine and Jake's.
I-
So here's the
I
thing, what they're
think-
saying, here's what they're saying is that you're not sharing. So they're saying for number 5 is that you're not sharing this address.
Yeah, you are.
All right.
Jake
But how
and
do you do that to me? Like,
The address of Jake and me.
The address of Jake and the address of me. So what you
Means
would,
that-
which is a little odd, you said Jake's and my address is what you have there, or what they have.
Jake's and what?
Jake's and my address. I need Jake's and my address before I can fill out the paperwork for this or whatever. This
So,
is Jake's and my
number
address.
6. Michelle and
Are they separate voices or are they together?
Michelle's and Colleen's. voice.
Right, they own them separately, so you have to apostrophize each one.
Okay.
So each one gets an apostrophe on that one. Michelle's and Colleen's voices. What, and in number 7, they own this apartment together, they rent it together. So you put, right,
Her friends.
so, right,
What
my
is
sister
voice?
and her friends.
Voice.
Voices. Michelle and Colleen's voices. Alright, in 9, they're putting these art projects separately.
How do you do that then? John's and mine.
Yours.
No, I need, and yours.
Oh.
John's and your, actually. I need John's and your art project. Alright. So, compound nouns, you add, that's showing joint, oh no, that's saying that this, Attorney General, this is a compound noun. One thing, it's a compound noun, the apostrophe S, the last one. 2 words that show joint ownership, so they own something together, but the word is a pronoun. That is, make both the name and the pronoun possessive. Oh, it's a pronoun.
What do they do if they give
I
us
messed
questions
that
about
one
the speech?
Where?
I don't know if they're doing that, but
They probably won't. I don't see any, I didn't see any in my brief overview. Okay.
I thought it was very funny.
Number 12, they have 2 words that show joint ownership, but one of the words is pronoun,
Yeah.
like the whole, maybe this is why they're doing Jake's and my address. If so, if one of the words is pronoun, you're supposed to pick both the name and the pronoun possessive, which is, okay, I was misinterpreting that one. That was my official bad.
So it would be.
So that would be why you do Jake's and my address. Instead of Jake's and my addresses. But Jake's and my address. And John, your art projects. It's only because that one is a pronoun. So which pronoun would add? We make both of them possessive. Number 11, 2 nouns that show joint ownership.
June and Elise and that's what I have.
Okay, but they just want the rule.
Oh,
They just want the rule. No. If they own something together, that's what joint ownership means. And then you own
The last one.
only the last one.
I went and I wrote down.
Yep, that was the wrong thing to do. If you would have read the instructions, you would have seen that. Number 10. What is that one? What's the rule for that one, Maria?
Number 10.
2 nouns that show separate ownership.
I have apostrophe in
To
both of them.
both of them.
Which one do you want to 12?
We just did 10 to 13.
What was 12? 2 words that should know.
2 words that show joint ownership, but one of the nouns is a pronoun. I said this one.
Make both of them possessive.
Make both of them, make both the name and the pronoun possessive. All right. Identifying those clauses in 16 through 19 as adjective, adverb, or noun. Since life is uncertain. Which question is that answering?
That's a category.
It is an adverb. Yes. answering your question why. What about 17, Richard?
17. Noun clause.
It's a noun. Chris, what about 18?
That would be adjective.
Yes, it's describing a box. And answering the question which one. And Leah, what about 19?
Yeah.
It's a noun clause. Yes, it's a subject of a sentence. I'm going to leave you to sink or swim on 20 through 22. 23.
Leave it for me.
I have an interesting one there. That's a little bit of an interesting thing. What about the word yet? What is the word yet?
It's a
It's the-
conjunction.
Conjunction for
conjunction.
the adverbs.
It's a conjunction for the adverb. Ties the adverbs together. That's correct. Goes on a dotted line between the adverbs. On English, our language. So, those are described, what do they do in this sentence? Right, so they are, yes, yes. Precisely. All right. English. What we're going to do for the rest of this, up until Christmas vacation, is I'm going to actually, I don't want you to get halfway through your preparation for your speech. So tomorrow we're going to actually do lesson 1, in English 6. Today we're going to do
This is another speech?
yes.
Okay, I feel better now.
We'll probably have to get.
It's always better if they have to do twice the amount of work we do.
So that's my
And
plan.
it's just kind of a
That's a
bad
little unfortunate.
feeling that we're gonna have to do that.
You guys
I
are
know.
being dramatic and fun.
Yeah.
The speech isn't even hard, just wait until you get to book 8. Book 1, book 6, 7.
So that's my
One of
plan.
those books.
Book 7
All right.
is always the worst book.
Yeah, book 7 is, it's always.
You have to
written
write
this
it,
time
the
of
whole
year.
book is on speech.
Didn't I like just skip that book one time or something?
We
because of the
went
speech?
I have no clue.
We were supposed to say ours, but we got
Oh,
out
yeah,
of
we
it.
did.
We'll just put it down.
I don't believe in getting out of things like that. Public speaking is a big deal.
Actually,
It's almost as big of a deal as math, but not
We
quite.
hardly even had your items. We only had a reading.
I
All right.
thought
In your Bible?
English 5, where did that go? Have a book. Somewhere. Oh well, I'll just go over a few of these things. Basically what they're doing here is, you're supposed to match terms with definitions, things like your audience. Your audience might be, what's an anecdote? Jersey.
It's a short story.
Yeah, a short story, that's an anecdote. What the pitch of your, when you have, what the pitch in your speech is. This is in your English, you look back.
it was just the last lesson.
The last lesson. So pitch, when you describe it, like, highness or lowness of the sound to me, that's what pitch is. What about volume? Christy?
Loudness or what?
Yeah, exactly. What's your purpose statement?
Say what the purpose
She stated.
What is spatial order?
Spatial order is like from that side to that side. I remember it.
So
Or.
you use it when you're describing a
Room.
array. Any place in that.
I don't want to talk.
Eye contact. Alright. There's an incorrect statement from a group, which is supposed to circle one.
Is there anything that we have to like write on?
Yes, there is.
Like,
Two methods of organizing the main points of speech.
oh, like that.
The clusters, the cluster,
Or outline.
cluster and outline. And then 3 ways to develop the main points of the speech, which I think is referring to. Where's my book?
The flow and that kind of thing.
I'm thinking that's what it's heading for.
Rhetorical questions, citation from a famous person or source, starting.
Okay, but the other one.
Yeah, so they have, so there's a bunch of ways to develop the main points of speech. Definitions, if you want to define the word, anecdotes, testimony, examples, facts, statistics, quotes, I suppose. Those are what they're looking for to develop the main points. So this is this is not your introduction or your conclusion. This is developing the main points. Definitions, anecdotes, testimony, examples, facts, statistics.
When did we learn about all those?
I don't think you really wrote them down that much, but if I'm going over them clearly. Oh, my bad. On organizing the main points of the speech. Now I'm looking for no. You're looking for chronological order, comparison, contrast, problem, solution, topical, and spatial.
All 5 of them?
No, there's
Not
2.
clustering.
No, they're not looking for, they're not looking for clusters.
Spatial and what's the other?
Spatial, topical, chronological,
Topical and spatial are good ones.
comparison, contrast, problem, solution. If you have extras, I will give you, I'm not going to give you over 100% because I think that's weird. But if you want insurance, I will give you 2 points apiece for each extra one you have down.
Or which one?
You get 2 points on.
2 points apiece up to 100%. So like if you get something wrong on the front page, you have extra ones on
Yeah, but
2 methods of organizing the main points. If you
what
have
if
more
you
than
get an
that,
extra one wrong? Yeah, what if you get an extra
I
one?
just won't count it right or wrong. And the 3 ways to develop the main points of the speech. As long as you have 2 of them that are right. So if you have extras there, I'll give you extra points for this. Up to 100%. You don't go over 100% because that would be weird. Any questions? Comments, problems, struggles?
Why don't I have an E
Hmm?
in every E program?
In E? I think because they want to specifically make sure that you go from a D to a failure. They just completely skip the letter D altogether. They want to make sure that it's.
That was fantastic.
You get graded for being literate and then being.
Then they'll skip a letter on
Yeah, that's fun.
you. Well, it could be worse. I don't even know to think about that. How it could be worse, but there's ways. You realize that they used to have a long and a short S sound?
And what?
Okay, very good.
That's
Well, how does that work?
A long and a short S sound.
That's a long list.
And
And like, so if you like read the Constitution, you'll see, or the Declaration of Independence, you'll see letters that look like this, that aren't F's. This is the long S sound.
what?
How does it
So-
sound though? Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, yeah.
So like in this word, you need the long and the short one. But in this word,
Dresser.
you only need the long one.
Space.
Space. Space.
What's a
So
base?
there's-
Space.
I don't know exactly. But I'm really weirded out by it.
Oh, that's
That
horrible.
they
Get
would
that off
actually
the
call it a
board,
long
please.
yes.
No,
That's worse than that.
I
You sit there and you want to say,
face.
I'm hitting his face.
Not in their face.
I was just,
Not
I've been kind of studying in ancient English just to decide how hard to make my life, and I decided that I don't need to make it any harder than that. I'd rather study Greek, so I have been because I needed the calculus.
You need Greek for calculus.
Can't talk Greek to us.
Yeah, let's hear some great. Let's hear some teach, speak, and accountants here.
I have 4 and 3. I can 4 and 4.
So I'm counting 2 points for
I don't know where I was on the right one. Are these I don't know if I did them backwards or not.
It's possible. That would be really inconvenient.
I'll say it's even likely.
It is very likely.
Why is campaign spelled with an G?
It's a French word. P-A-I-G-N.
Can you count this?
Pagan.
So this word, it says in here, I looked it up. And it says, surrender or declare illegal void. So that would be like that, right?
Mhm. Right. So like some of the old kings of England, they weren't allowed to get a divorce. But if they wanted to get rid of their wife anyway, they would ask the priest or bishop or whatever to nullify the wedding, make it so it was another. So rather than getting divorced, it was like, yeah, actually we were getting married.
Which is the joke.
Like King Henry VIII.
Like
He
King
went
Henry
through like
VIII. He
8
went-
wives.
Well, he went even so far as to be like, well, since they're tired of nullifying my marriages, I'm going to make me a new church. That's do it for me. And you got kicked out of the Catholic Church over that. That's kind of funny.
Wait, I thought he created the
Yeah,
Catholic.
no, he
No,
created
that was the
Anglican.
Protestant. Oh, I thought it was.
Anglican.
I thought it was a Catholic.
Mm-hmm. He came to the Catholics. This is the old Roman
Yeah, like
Catholic.
remember Bloody Mary and all that?
Anglican.
I thought,
If something's Anglican, it means it's English.
okay.
All right. That's what that's
So
what that
he
means.
was the Catholic Church.
So it's the Church of England, the
Yeah.
Anglican Church. So he created the Church of England, which came directly from the Catholic Church. It's just that he was allowed to get divorced.
That
Making a
really
new
changed.
church with new rules. That's
New church, new
Same
rules,
thing.
can get divorced, which is what we want. And also, he tied it into the government so that the higher you were in the church, the more power you had in the government, and vice versa.
Okay. What?
We all want to be Sunday school teachers now.
Yeah.
So we better just get right up to the government. Have to have an elected office.
No,
A
so,
lot.
really? No, like, did they elect you for Sunday school teachers? Oh.
Didn't have Sunday school.
You just did the
Straight to Pope. Not,
Oh, Drusilla.
cannot pass go, not collect $200.
It's on the other side. Sounds like you're playing board. Thank you.
Exactly.
Some poor people had to work under Druzy.
Hey, are those speeches informative and funny?
Huh?
It says most speeches are informative, entertaining, or persuasive.
What should I work on now?
Fighter.
Oh,
Spelling words here.
I did spelling.
And we have Bible, yeah, we have Bible.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. Today, the Bible after lunch,
English is
on
why.
account of reasons.
We're doing what here?
Bible after lunch,
That's sad, actually.
Look, you're like ball.
because we have no history and we have no science. And I want to get you to a different spot, I'm not going to wait here.
You trying to get us in a spot?
Yes. How does it make you feel? I don't like where you are.
You know in their Bible they have, it says, if you read this passage, write your
Initials?
initials. Do you count that wrong?
Say what?
Is it by
I always write my initials, but
If you
even
don't have
even
your
if I
initials,
don't
would
read
you
it,
have
I never read it.
sometimes?
I never read it though.
No, I would take the answer.
My,
and understand.
Yeah, I get the answers out, and then
I
you
know,
just
that's
put
not
reading and
correct.
see if you got there.
Well, and then I usually at
I
least
just
scan
wrote
them.
last year, he was wrong if it was blank, so I just went and wrote all my units for all the lessons. Cause I would read it, I just would write my name.
so when I was a young squirt,
You still are.
depends on how old I am, other days I'm old as hell. Old as dirt. Actually probably the oldest thing you can come up with.
Little light, probably. And
Yes.
Old as water.
Old as
No, wait,
salt,
no, wait.
salty water.
Well, the lightness came first, right? Or the light came, light.
Darkness came before the light. What is
Okay.
No, but wasn't,
Old as-
no,
old
but
as-
wasn't there just always water or something?
It was just void,
Oh.
like nothing.
Nothing.
That's really hard to
Oh.
imagine, but.
My-
Just nothing.
So we had,
That is hard.
we did this strictly CLE situation, where if a certain page was not circled, indicating that all the corrections had been done, where everyone was correct, you got to stay in at recess.
What?
So the first time was 1 minute, which is the most useless time to stay in there. The second time is 2 minutes, which is the second most useless. The third time is 3 minutes, which is the third most useless. Now we're getting up to 5 minutes here, so these points would stay over a week. Alright, so circle pages,
I
like
would
there's
get
little
so
check marks.
so
There's little
fast.
check marks.
I
And
would
there's
If
little,
we
if
had
you
to
have
have
X
school
not
like that.
circled, same situation.
An
And
X,
so like if you make a, if you get something wrong in marking X, and then you correct it, and then you go back and it's right in your circle, and it's not, you go.
But what if you're
So
still
if
doing
you,
the
if
corrections
you
at
have
recess?
it is like at night, your books that are there get gazed at. So what you do is you take all your books home, you do homework, and that way nobody can look at them. And that way, you don't have to stay in on Friday. And, which, you know, it didn't matter. But no, I actually spent, I got 15 minutes, I had a half hour detentions after school because like after we went over 6 minutes, I think I still got a detention.
Mr. Kennedy,
Hey, what
lots
are
of
we
people
gonna
just
do?
quit school. Lots of people just quit school.
What happens?
I would so quit school so
Yeah.
fast. Why?
It makes people mad when you have to, like, parents don't like it.
no, because they think we're too young and we don't have a job.
We just walk.
I lived 10 miles away, so that wasn't an option. Unless we're looking off the creek.
For the first
Cut off
2
4
years,
miles.
it was only like 3 steps
Okay,
that I was
that's
home.
how big was your crate? That's easy.
Did you like splash there? pretty easy?
No, it was over your head, but you might have been able to jump from rock to rock.
What about a bridge?
There was no bridge over here. You should
What
have
about-
built one.
What about 4x4 in here?
You can drive it across that creek.
Wow.
The rocks were this high, that way around.
Because like if Jared will drop out in ninth grade here, like I bet tons of people drop out. Oh my goodness, that just seems like.
Like a year before you
Hey,
get your
Rich,
first
start
year.
raining clouds.
I'm so glad I was not going there.
No. It might be different now, people might drop out sooner than me.
But he is 16, that makes sense.
But I never,
No,
never
it
dropped
doesn't.
out.
Who wants to be in school for?
Nobody that I went to school with dropped out.
I would.
You want to be in school too, that's
Yeah. If
There were
forget
some
about
morning,
it.
some morning people who.
I don't think I'd be 15 when I get out.
I'm 16 and a half when I get out of school.
I'm turning 16 right before the.
Right.
It's actually over 6.
8th grade, let's do some spelling words just for the fun and
You
games.
know what, everyone?
15.
I'm not gonna be 15. I'm not gonna be 15. I'm gonna be 16 because, yeah. Well, no, her birthday is this summer.
Language. Onward, upward. Hey, where's you going, Cody?
Use the bathroom.
Yeah, because
Fast.
the people that live in the winter will be. She's like, you're just going through the market. Exactly.
Oh no.
Yeah, see, like, it would be nice for you
Easy.
to.
Ah, here you go.
That's not here.
I still got it.
Alright,
Good man.
Test this one.
It's just kind of annoying.
Oh, I like it.
so,
Oh, you liked it.
Well, wait, I don't think you do lobby.
Lobby?
Yes, you do democracy. And you do election, Richard.
Democracy.
We are following election, sure.
Accuracy.
Ooh, there's a 3-word word.
The 3-word word.
So I got democracy.
I can't see it. Where's it at?
I haven't wrote it yet. Accuracy.
Election. Oh, here, let me help you.
What was it called again?
Democracy. Lobby, good. Well, they're not all capitalized.
Democracy.
Oh, good. You write veto.
Me?
Yes.
No, democracy.
Perfect. All right. Leah, House of Representatives. Democracy. You write candidate.
Leah got like the worst one.
And you get ratify.
I'm not looking.
You ratify.
Oh, that's
And these candidates also have House of Representatives is the whole entire thing, except for
You don't even
House.
House.
Good.
What's your trade?
Good. You write nullify.
No.
Nullify. You write delegate. You write legislate.
Doesn't delegate.
You write senate.
It's
Delegate.
That's not right.
You can only get senator or a representative.
I would run away very fast. I don't know who was Wisconsin.
No, like in of the USA.
Of the USA? Neither. Run away very fast.
Does it have 2 F's?
Does it?
I don't know. I barely
Yeah,
even
is
looked
this
at
right?
these words.
Just
Yeah. Oh, no, that's legislative. We're looking for legislature, which is different.
Court.
T-U-R.
Mr. Kidd.
That's, you're right, Leah. That's 2 L's, yes.
When you do a speech, you write an outline, right?
There's
Well, we did a little bit, but not like out outline. I'll just put on
Oh, now you're capitalizing on something. Okay, you do Senate. You do impeach. You do monarchy.
I actually know what
Monarchy.
Monarchy. It's funny.
I'm getting it.
Oh.
Scandal.
Yes. Monarchy, you said?
Yeah.
All these markers are just junk.
The horrible program practice caused a very bad scandal.
Scandalous.
Okay, why don't you just write that in a fast way? We're worried about the speed here. Speed and accuracy, not at all.
Can this guy? Okay, it works.
So fair enough now. Right.
All these markers are just
I
junk.
guessed on that last one.
Throw all the markers out. Yeah, they're junk.
Just keep it around for a second.
Don't even run.
No problem.
Just toss them.
Alright, and then you go to Parliament,
I know, did you-
dictator.
I have 5
Parliament, dictator,
and court for that.
Mr. Kidd.
What am I on?
I need to hop on literature.
Number
I'll
one.
try to help you here in a minute.
Did you get number 1?
Okay, how do you spell
You
Parliament?
did?
Dictator is also not capitalized.
Now they don't care.
I did Parliament.
There's one.
Constitution is capitalized.
Like it says.
It's lowercase.
Three.
And
Looks like a B.
Monterey is.
Today.
Whoa, okay, what?
We need to make sure
I
that
believe
the
it was
correct one,
one
right?
of your-
Is that green? I'm gonna try that.
It's Parlia.
Oh,
If you look at it upside down, it makes a lot more sense.
We're gonna go through it this way, yeah?
Not
All
really.
right. Erase all yours, please. Constitution is capitalized, good.
Oh,
Lobby, democracy, election veto. Just write it fast. Whether they're all capitalized or
it's like all the something that is all.
That's like-
Yeah, it's a good thing. Good things on
Long
this
as
stuff.
it's democracy.
He was a modest man, is that one?
Veto is correct.
But if not.
Veto is just a cool word, I just love these.
House of Representatives, candidate,
Oh,
ratify.
I have no idea how to spell that.
Ratify, no, I'm a rat.
Now you're the rat.
And I'm a rat.
Don't
It says
do
a
that.
bunch of things about his.
Oh, they spelled
Is that
the
right?
governors.
Yes.
That's as far as I could get.
Rat. You just go rat.
Governor.
Yeah, there we go.
Rat.
That's 27.
That was a rep.
Representatives.
No, that's it.
Rat.
something
Splendid
in
egg.
on trade. It puts out like
Prince
lots of
William
things.
Dairy.
Keep going
That's
There
what
you
it
go.
is, absolutely.
That's right.
Representatives, good. All right, so now you candidate,
Candid.
A candy date.
Got two big.
Oh,
nullify.
but that was,
A candy date.
Nullify.
That'd be kind of cool, actually.
Two are
Delegate,
honestly.
or delegate, my bad.
They have
Legislature
candy
and
and
Senate.
stuff.
I have no idea how to spell that. I can't remember.
Delegate. That's
Mr.
good.
Have you ever had a date? Not like a date, like the fruit.
Just say, yeah,
like
or
a date
two.
day.
What?
Before
It's like
you
if you
got married,
candy
I'm
club us.
Well, that's
Date
all
day.
right. All right, impeach, monarchy, campaign, and
Getting dates
scandal.
and peaches and lots of these. She has a couple apples and some pineapple.
Impeach.
And scandal is not even capitalized, Leah.
That's not
Oh, it's
capitalized.
not capitalized.
That's just peachy.
And then we have parliament, dictator, constitution, and all.
Dictator.
What?
Right, whatever.
What?
Campaign.
What did you?
What was it called again? What did you do?
Inaugurate.
You said what?
What did you
Is
do?
there fruit in
Constitution.
there?
Well, we're gonna talk here about campaign.
Champagne or campaign.
What's a pear?
You're on the campaign version of it, you're also wrong. Sorry, you can go back to your desk and look at this, but,
The campaign. Oh, I might have done that.
yeah,
Look
go
out.
back to your desk.
Right there.
Oh, it just
Constitution.
This does not have an H, it's just G.
Just about made it through another period.
Right.
I only have 3 on number 1 and I have to have 5.
Good or go?
They just stick them over like way over there. I can't find just grab them.
Close your eyes to the
What?
Okay.
Some assets that Paul has, mentioned in paragraphs 3 through 8, or paragraphs 3 through 8. Okay? Make sure that you include, oh yeah, so here we go. He had opportunities. What were his opportunities? He was modest, he was splendid, whatever splendid is. There's a D in there,
I
okay.
had one.
And he was humble, which is kind of like modest. To be real honest. He was a splendid what? Which means he has a splendid what? A splendid, what is a physique? A splendid physique. It means he wasn't a skinny little beanpole. And he wasn't a big fat dude. He was well formed. He had a splendid physique. That's what that means.
So on your number 17, it says, the theme of the last next song is A, the stream of godly men is the worst in the world. B, it is better to live in a desert than to choose life in a well-watered plain. C, God judge people who commit sins that come from easy luxury. Or D, God is essentially something from I don't think any of them know anything.
I would say C probably more than anything else.
I don't like this lesson, it's so confusing.
And then I need help on these because all of these,
How could these be an advantage for king and?
all of these depend on this one, and I'm not sure if this one is right. So can you see if that one's right?
So one of the things that none of you have yet that I've seen is that he was chosen by God, and I think.
I don't know that. I don't know, he was fit for the task being chosen.
So he was fit for the task, was chosen by God, and that.
For the same one. I have that in the same one.
Let me just look here.
I have the spirit of God in one.
And that one is wrong.
What I think it's fairly,
And I still need one more.
fairly obvious. Assets to be admired.
I don't
He had a
get
splendid physique, which means he was well built. He was modest. He was young. His youth was an advantage. He was a great friend. And he was appointed by God. Those are the 5 they had.
Those are my have.
All right. So then it has, what is this? Ways that Saul played the fool? Is that the next verse?
And then, oh, you actually have to go to the, that's all on that.
9. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong place. So then 2, which is the least important, although it could be either an advantage or a disadvantage, depending on how it's treated. The splendid physique, yes, is what they have as the least important advantage. And then number 3, how could this be an advantage for a king in his leading his people? Why?
Like him.
Well, think about it this way.
So he could
How do
help
you-
his people. You can't help your people when you're.
It kind of actually is just kind of human nature, to be real honest.
I just feel people are drawn towards handsome people.
Yeah, people who are handsome and
All our
athletic?
presidents were kind of tall and.
yeah, I mean, tall and rugged people. There were a few exceptions. People like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, for example, was in a wheelchair. But he insisted, for the most part, that his public photo shoots were taken from the waist up. That his wheelchair did not get in there because he wanted his
And he also didn't want-
persona to be one of strength and whatever, because that was a big deal to him.
He also tried to stand for a lot of those kind of pictures.
Right.
Because he didn't want to be seen as a wheelchair.
Exactly. And so the thing is, people tend to equate a strong body with a strong mind. And it's not exactly the way it is, but for example, if a leader has a strong mind I try not to bring politics into the room very much, but if you have questions about your leadership's sanity, for example, and especially if they're a very old person, you tend to not look up to them as much. And that, I think, is shown very strongly in Biden's approval polls, which are the lowest of any president for a good long time.
What are midterm elections? What do they even do?
They have, basically, things get staggered, right? So you have your full term elections, which are every 4 years. So
So,
2020, 2024, those are full term elections, and this is no, everything tends to run in 4-year periods. But midterms, there are some offices that get filled in the midterm, like some of the Senate and House Representative seats, and those happen every 4 years as well. But they happen on 2022, 2026, and that's so that there's no complete changeover all at once. So these are the midterms, these are the full terms. And the midterms are coming
For
up.
the big disadvantage is that people will idolize them and they'll become fat.
The big advantage,
Disadvantage.
disadvantage, and that was number 4.
Yeah.
They have that it could actually cause them to become proud. All right, it's time for lunch. You know what I did? I tried to put my lunch in the oven. Oh well. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this day. Thank you, Lord, for the blessings you've given us today. We pray, Father, that you keep the rest of the day going as smoothly as it is this morning. And I pray, Father, that you give us clear minds, clean hearts. I pray, dear Lord, you would bless our program practice this afternoon. encouragement to set them a great precedence for them. Thank you for our food board. In Jesus' name. Thank you. Go. Except they don't want to. Judge can go next.